You've got a song that is so nearly perfect, but it's just missing that one extra thing to make it really shine, a killer strings part, but you're not really sure where to begin. Hey, I'm Lester J, and I think I can help you out with that. Dude, I need you to calm down. If you haven't already watched part 1 of my Writing Killer String Arrangements for Beginners series, I'd recommend going back and doing that now. That's where I break down the basics of string instrument ranges and performance techniques. Here in part 2, I'm going to show you some tips for how you can write string parts that sound good when put together, as well as a shortcut for how you can get your sheet music ready for your performer. To start, I'm going to show you an example of some counterpoint from my latest song, Down. Counterpoint is when different musical voices are moving in a way that intentionally fits well together. This is in 3 voices, high, middle, and low. We want each voice to sound good independently, but we also want them to work well together. In this case, they're reinforcing the harmony in the high mids, which is an A flat chord moving to an E flat chord. There are generally 3 different ways that musical voices can move in relationship to each other. They can move parallel, so in the same direction. They can move contrary, so in opposing directions, or they can move obliquely, which is when one voice stays the same and the other voice moves around it. In this example, the bottom 2 voices are moving parallel a step down, and the top voice is moving contrary a step up. The movement up to F in the top voice is ornamental. It's ultimately going to go back down to that E flat to fit into the E flat chord. So ultimately, it's an oblique movement for that one because it's going to be staying on E flat and the other 2 notes are going to be moving down around it. And the result, I think, sounds pretty good altogether. One thing to be intentional about when arranging is intervals. Intervals are the distance between 2 notes. Particularly, you want to watch out for the intervals you use in parallel. You might have heard musicians talking about parallel fifths before as being something to avoid. This is a little easier to explain at a keyboard, so I'll show you over there. So an interval is the distance between 2 notes. C to D is a second, C to E is a third, C to F a fourth, C to G a fifth, and so on, 6th, 7th octave. Let's say you wanted to move from a C chord to an F chord. If I do it all in parallel like this, then I run into the issue of these parallel fifths. So it's these 2 notes going to these 2 notes. I have this interval of a fifth going to this interval of a fifth. So this is the 21st century. You can do whatever you want. If you want to do parallel fifths, no one's going to come and like sue you or get mad at you. In fact, plenty of artists do it and there's no problem with it. But I do find that if I try and look for ways to avoid it, I come up with more interesting and more beautiful arrangements a lot of the times. So there's no problem really between these intervals, right? That's thirds. Or between these, those are thirds. The problem is here. So let's say, for example, I want to do it with these 3 parts. Maybe I have a violin, a second violin, and a viola. First thing I might want to think about is my range. So I know my lowest string on the viola is my low C, and my lowest string on the violin is my low G. And maybe I want to fill this sort of like mid to low high range in my music. So I could be thinking about even maybe use that C string and maybe use that G string. Let's say this is a viola and this is my second violin, and now what's missing is the third. I could put that in my first violin. And now for where I'm gonna move, what if I want maybe my viola to be the bass, or my low part, so I want it to hit the root, C to F. So I'm gonna go C to F with that. Let's see what I can do now with my second violin. That works. I'm moving by this second here, this fourth here, no issues. Maybe I want, since these are both moving up, I can move this one down in some contrary motion. That could be pretty. So I could go. That's nice. I could probably even do the same if I wanted to have it be really, really broad. I could have this take a nice big leap like that. That could be kind of cool. So I could go from, again, That's kind of nice. Everything is moving parallel. Or I could think maybe the opposite. Maybe if I want a really big range, I could have it kind of like that, or spread out like that. It really depends on what you want with your sound. Now let's say I wanted to do it in 4 parts. So maybe now instead of having my viola go like that, I want my cello to be the one that goes like this. I'm going to fill out a bit more of the slower register. So I'm going to have my cello go C, F. Maybe I still want my... maybe I'll have my viola be here on this E. I can't reach this interval with one hand. I got small hands. So I can do it like this. Cello, viola. Where am I going to put my violins now? So I'm missing a G. I could put my G here. And then maybe I could have my top violin. That's a nice sound. Or I could even have it here. Kind of like how open that is. That's nice. Doubling that third. And then let me think about where we're going to go. So I know that I want this to go here. I could have my viola go down, and that would be a nice contrary motion. And then what else do I want in here? Here, I could have this go up to this A, because I'm missing that third. And I could have, where was this? No. No, I'm missing my middle part. Where do I want this to go? I could have it go down to the F. Or sorry, that's kind of nice. Or I could have it maybe also go to that A. That could be nice. You could go much higher if you wanted, because the violin can do that. So all these things are within your realm of possibility, depending on what you want to choose. And then once you get your parts arranged the way that you want them to sound good, the next step is getting that into sheet music for your performer to be able to play it. And I'm going to show you a quick tip for how you can do that. Cool. So I finally have the MIDI sitting where I like it for our C chord moving to our F chord. So first we have, you can see these 2 parts and how they fit together. Let's listen. This is for assuming you have a regular string quartet, our violin 1, violin 2, viola, and our cello. So the cello, like we talked about, is moving from bass note to bass note. And the viola is moving in contrary motion to the cello from the E down to the open C string. The violin 2 is moving in this oblique motion. So it's an oblique motion to everything else because it's staying static on the C. And our violin 1 has this nice upward movement, a step, which is really lovely. So let's hear it one more time. And notice how we talked about with string techniques that you can get these really cool sounds out of it with these sustained notes. So right now these are kind of boring whole notes, and let's see if we can make them even more interesting when we go into our notation. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to export this MIDI clip. And we're going to call it maybe string quartet. And we're going to call it string quartet. And from here, I like to use a program called Sibelius, but you could do this in a free program called Musescore. We're going to import in this MIDI. Cool. So I'm in Sibelius and I'm going to import in our MIDI file. So I found it. I found my string quartet MIDI file. I'm going to open it. And we're just going to kind of keep everything. And it gave us all the notes, but it gave it all to us in this piano instrument as one instrument. So we have to add more instruments. And now that I have just everything all in the same place, I'm going to get rid of all the ones that I don't need. So first thing we're going to add is we're going to add some dynamics to just make it a little bit more interesting. So let's say we want to make it start with piano, which is soft. We could add pianissimo, 2 P's, to make it even softer, but we don't need to be too aggressive here. And let's say that maybe we want to do this thing where we want it to end on a note here. I'm going to take all of these guys and I'm going to, oh, there's all kinds of weird. There we go. We're going to take these notes and put them here. And we're going to say that by here, we want our expression to be forte. And that everything from here to here, we're going to add a crescendo. And then maybe we want to give this a little accent mark, make it aggressive. So now we're going to have it grow and then have this final note on the 4th beat. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Let's hear it. And then we go. We have a string part that's a little bit more interesting and has some growth and uses a couple of techniques in it. We could even do something like or maybe we want to add a tremolo here. The more lines, the faster it's going to go. And sometimes these aren't exactly precise measurements of how fast the tremolo goes. That's something maybe you discuss with your performer. Let's see how fast these are. Pretty fast. We could even try. So yeah, now this is full of lots of options. You could even make this a shorter note too. Maybe let's say we want this to be, not all of that. We want these with a big accent. Sometimes we could even do something called a sforzando, which is just like a little extra accent even. And that's it. You are now totally ready to write string arrangements for your pop, R&B, electronic, whatever song. Congratulations, you did it. If there's anything you'd like to see described in further detail, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to do follow-up videos or go in depth about other instruments. Subscribe to my channel for more music resources, and if you want to see more examples of string arranging, then next you could listen to my song Down.